now let's get into it, and let's start off with Star Wars. All right. Star Wars, is huge in my heart ever since I was a kid. I love Star Wars. I if you watched my video talking about the Mandalorian, I went nuts with that stuff, how this series has been playing out and all that. And when they started talking about Star Wars and Lucasfilm in general, they kind of gave a nod to how happy they were with the reception of the Mandalorian and all that. And they have some stuff in the works that will keep that stuff going. So one of the first things that they announced was, because of the success of the Mandalorian, they are developing 2 live-action Disney Plus spin-offs from the series. So one is called Rangers of the New Republic. Not a lot of details from what I've tried to gather were released about what that's going to be like. However, my speculation, especially because of the rumors that Gia, what's her name? My God, again, my brain is so scrambled because of all this news. But Gina Carano, who stars in the Mandalorian as Cara Dune, there have been rumors that she may get a spin-off or a separate series and all that. My thoughts is that this is going to be that series. She's going to be part of the Rangers of the New Republic. Plus, if you've been watching The Mandalorian this season, and this might be spoiler territory if you're not fully caught up, but we've seen Republic members, show up, kind of patrolling the area, interacting with Mando, interacting with Cara Dune. So they could easily be part of that series too. And I'm sure we'll get a peek into how the New Republic is being formed in this universe. So these series are going to be tied into the same universe that the Mandalorian series is going to be a part of. So really interesting stuff there. But the main announcement when it comes to that is that they are releasing a live action Ahsoka series, which will again bring back Rosario Dawson to star in the lead role of Ahsoka Tano. And that for me was a no-brainer. That was one of those things where I knew that was going to happen. The minute we saw the live action Ahsoka on The Mandalorian, I knew they hit it out of the park. I was super excited, super pumped. I wanted to see more of Rosario Dawson in that role and have her really carry this character moving forward. So now they finally said that they have committed to a spin-off series for that. And both of these series, Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, will have Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau kind of spearheading it. So you have it in good hands. We already seen what they've done with The Mandalorian, so I could only assume or speculate that these new spin-offs will have that same flavor to it. So really, really fun and exciting stuff there. That's not it. We're not done yet. They kind of dropped a little sizzle reel behind the scenes of the Rogue One spinoff, Andor. We knew it as the Cassian Andor series, but now it's been officially titled just Andor, with Diego Luna. It's being written by Tony Gilroy, and the way it kind of looks like from what we saw in the sizzle reel and the way Kathleen Kennedy was kind of describing it is that it's going to be kind of like a spy thriller, right? So it's really, really interesting that to see how this is going to play out, because I think Cassian Andor was definitely one of the characters that I wanted to learn more about after watching Rogue One, because he seemed to, even though a lot of his actions were primarily to help the rebellion, he did some gritty stuff, and it sounds like he came from an upbringing or he was involved in a lot of stuff that could be considered gritty, that you wouldn't necessarily really associate with the rebellion and the Republic and stuff like that. So I've always wanted to see how he got to that point or what was involved in all of that. So really interesting to see how that's going to play out. I believe they're kind of breaking the mold of The Mandalorian when it comes to episodes for this series, because I think it's going to be 12 episodes. So really interesting to see how that's gonna look like. They announced or gave an update on the Obi-Wan TV series, which we already knew that Ewan McGregor is going to be a part of and all that. However, they did, drop another bomb. The rumors are true. Hayden Christensen is coming back as Darth Vader in this series, and I can only speculate how that's going to happen and how that's going to play out, because as we know, Obi-Wan was stuck on Tatooine looking after young Luke, making sure nothing goes wrong there and all that. And they're saying that this series is going to take place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. So there must be something that kind of brings their paths together again. And it kind of makes sense too, because if you remember episode 4, New Hope, the dialogue that Vader and Obi-Wan had when they finally met face to face again, or even when Obi-Wan was with Luke and they were on the Death Star, Vader had that famous line of like, oh, I'm feeling a presence that I haven't felt since blah blah blah, right? So this could finally kind of fill in the gaps there as to what he meant by that. Did they meet again? It sounds like they probably did after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Plus, Obi-Wan also mentioned to Luke that Vader is more robotic than human, or I don't remember the direct quote, but how does he know that, right? Are these just rumors or things that he heard about, or did he actually get to see it in person? So really interesting stuff there. And I'm excited to see how that's going to play out, because Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan was one of the best, if not the best thing that came out of the prequels for me. Yes, because of series like Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff that they're doing in The Mandalorian, I have a new appreciation for the prequel stuff. But when I watched it when they came out, I was very disappointed. So, but like I said, the one bright moment out of all those movies was Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan there. So really interesting stuff. To kind of keep it within the Star Wars galaxy, we finally got a preview of a new animated series that they're working on called The Bad Batch. If you watched the Clone Wars, especially the last season of the Clone Wars that came out on Disney Plus, we were introduced to this group of clone troopers called the Bad Batch, and the reason why they're called the Bad Batch is because they were rejects. When they were cloned, they came out with deformities, things that don't really tie in with the kind of mold that they were looking for their troopers. However, they were still functional and all that. So they formed their own ragtag team called the Bad Batch, and these were mercenaries that they kind of put in the forefront when they needed something that was extremely hazardous and dangerous to take care of. They were gung-ho always to take on those type of adventures. So really interesting stuff to see how that's going to play out. The animation style looks very Clone Wars like. So really interested to see how that story continues. They also came out with kind of a series that they're calling Visions, which within Visions, these are going to be animated shorts or one-offs that they will be working on with anime creators. So this is going to be like the first Star Wars anime series, or official anime series, because I've seen like some anime takes on Star Wars like on YouTube and all that. We had a Star Wars manga that came out many years ago. So this will be the first official Star Wars anime series, and it's going to be really interesting to see who they peg for that. On Disney Plus, they're also going to be releasing a series based off of the classic droid C-3PO and R2-D2 called A Droid Story. It's also going to be introducing a brand new droid. So it sounds like this is something that's more geared towards kids. So really fun. And I'm sure that will be exciting to see. Also, on top of that, they announced that they are working on a Lando spin-off series. They announced that Dear White People's Justin Simeon is going to be spearheading that series. But they didn't say if Donald Glover was going to come back, or if they're going to get names. Why are names escaping me? Billy D. Williams. Oh my God, how could I forget Billy D? If they're going to get Billy D to come back to reprise the role as an older Lando. Are we going to see the two in this series? If you remember how Rise of Skywalker ended, you had Lando speaking to one of the newer characters, and I'm forgetting the character's name, but she was also a former stormtrooper like Finn was. And she mentioned something about, she doesn't know where she comes from or where her family is. And Lando kind of makes this comment, so, well, let's find out, right? Or something like that. Could this be taking that and moving that into this series? Who knows? But it'll be really interesting to see what that's going to be like. And then they also announced another series called The Acolyte, which will be helmed by Russian doll creator Leslie Headland. Which is described as a mystery thriller about the emerging dark side set in the High Republic era. So when I hear this, I think immediately about Coruscant and, how the High Republic was and all that. So this sounds very, very interesting to me. Not a lot of details were announced about it, but basically just those tidbits we were given. But with all of these announcements, it's very interesting to see how they're focusing a lot of the Star Wars universe to be on television, which I think is brilliant and a better move to go instead of putting so much focus on theatrical movies. Because within series like we've seen in The Mandalorian, you can really flesh out huge storylines and you could really tell a lot. Without having to be so condensed within a 2-hour time frame, right? So the possibilities are endless, and it allows writers and directors to really tell full-fledged and kind of well-thought-out storylines within a series format. So really interesting how much they're focusing on that, and it gets me really excited because yes, we're getting more Star Wars stuff, and if it's anything like what we've been getting with The Mandalorian, then I'm all for it, right? But that doesn't mean that they're fully ignoring movies, because a huge bomb, and I'm using that a lot, was also dropped when they finally confirmed the rumors that Taika Waititi is going to be directing a Star Wars film. He had a very funny tweet about it, on Twitter, where he said, he's a huge Star Wars fan, and he apologizes because he's going to end up ruining Star Wars once he directs his movie. So really, really funny. But I think one of the biggest announcements was that Patty Jenkins is going to be directing a standalone Star Wars movie, that falls within kind of like their anthology movies like Rogue One was, or like Solo. And it's called Rogue Squadron. If you're like me and you're big into video games, you will remember the Rogue Squadron video game, which primarily focuses on the infamous, group of rebel starfighters. Luke was a part of Rogue Squadron, so was Wedge. Are they gonna go into that period, or is this gonna take place years after that or years before that? But Patty released this kind of interesting teaser, which has her kind of talk about how she always has had a fascination about planes, especially like jet fighters, because of her dad. Because her dad, I believe, was in the Air Force or Army or what have you, and flew these planes. So she's familiar with like the revving of the engines and all that stuff like that. And then there's some like kind of personal tragedy behind on that. But she also loves Star Wars. So just seeing her passion and Patty Jenkins, especially from what we've seen from her so far, whenever she's passionate about something, we get good results. So I can only imagine what kind of movie this is going to play out to be. I already heard someone online kind of describe this like this could be our Top Gun in space. I think of like Iron Eagle, because if we have Wedge in there, it's an older Wedge, right? And from what we know from Wedge's lore of what we know so far, he doesn't want to really fly anymore. Why? Are we going to find out why? Is he trying to teach a young group of fighter pilots to take on the Rogue Squadron moniker? So that's why when I think of Iron Eagle, it's kind of like Chappie and Mr. Young Buck over here, the mentor and the young whippersnapper hotshot pilot. Could it be something like that? I mean, when I think about it now, it sounds exciting, right? So I would really love to see how that's going to play out. We're going to get a lot of starfights in here, dogfights, battles in space, and that's one of the best things about Star Wars. Right now I'm playing Squadrons, the video game, and I love being in the cockpit and just, going through these space battles and going through these like space missions in my starfighter. That proves to be a lot of fun, and a lot of people love the universe because of that. They want to be in their X-Wings, they want to be in their Millennium Falcons, they want to be in their Slave Ones, and fight it out. TIE Interceptors, TIE Fighters, and all that. So it's very intriguing that we're going to get a movie that sounds like it's going to be based off of just this portion of the Star Wars universe. So a lot of fun stuff there. But that pretty much caps all of the Star Wars news that was dropped yesterday. And I'm kind of like nonchalantly just like, oh yeah, that's all the stuff that they dropped. But that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff to ingest there. But since it was a portion of the conference that was under the Lucasfilm umbrella, there was additional stuff outside of Star Wars that they announced too. They reconfirmed that Warwick Davis is coming back for the Willow Disney Plus series. And it looks like John M. Chu is also going to be a part of that because the pilot is being directed by him. They're also working on a series based off of a novel, very popular novel called Children of Blood and Bone. It looked like it's being developed by Lucasfilm and 20th Century Studios there. And we got reconfirmation again that yes, the 5th Indiana Jones movie is being worked on. They're in pre-production now, and it is being directed by James Mangold. We all know him from directing Wolverine, which he did a phenomenal job. But James Mangold is just a really great director in general, and that is slated to come out in July of 2022. Whew! That's just Star Wars, right? Now, oh hey guys, thanks again for watching. If you want to check out my other videos, make sure to access them through this menu that you see on this side of the screen. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or hit that logo you see right here on this side of the screen. I've always wanted to do that. Catch you next time.